I'll send you something that we've worked with WhatsApp on doing as well afterwards. It's a sort of a fact checker bot that they're launching. It's not WHO, but we're obviously providing a lot of the facts and content. And the way I've worked is try to, instead of thinking, bring people into WHO's life, get into their lives. And that's so important from the penetration point of view of health messaging. You know, Brazil, how many people in Brazil into the website of the World Health Organization? Probably not. So we need to get into the social media channels which are being used in Brazil, right? So I think that's really key.
You have an idea, better an idea of how they are seeing the information too.
Don't have, you know, in my area of work, there's 2 of us. In social media platforms, there's 3. In messaging, there's more, obviously, because we're producing a lot of messaging, and it all sort of fits together as a stream. But you know, Alex, she runs the WHO channels, and I run the outside world sort of things. There's a lot of overlap, obviously, with what we do, and it's
to establish the relationships with the platforms, right?
Yeah, exactly. It's all about relationship building and maintaining trust. You know, showing trust. That, and for me, this is what's interesting in this campaign, which is highly funded by the right wing, are very well organized already. They're already starting this rhetoric of, you know, can we trust the vaccine even when it's out? It's not being tested. All these things are already being said. Bill Gates, you know, he put out some content about vaccines, and he's all about vaccines. He loves vaccines. It saved millions of people. They're already attacking him to say, oh, he's putting a microchip in to track everybody.
Yeah, I saw that conspiracy theory, right?
So that's the anti-vaxxers starting. You know, they're very well organized, and they're a year ahead of everyone else. We're still trying to find the cure and the vaccine.
Why?
And they're already planning the next phase. So one of my jobs very strategically is to work with the social media companies and tech companies to say, how do we get ahead of that? How do we have this drumbeat that actually what we do is scientifically proven to be correct? And there's a drumbeat of what we do is accurate and well and good for you. How does that get over one person standing up who's got a massive following, whether it's a leader of a country or a social media person or a conspiracy theorist saying something? We can't compete really, but we have to, otherwise people will die. So how do we get across that, you know, since the human nature is to share that bad news, because that's what saved you, that shares more often. It's in our nature, gossip.
Yeah,
you know?
yeah. And it mirrors the real life. In real life, apparently, studies have shown too that people tend to tell bad stories more frequently than good ones, right, to each other in families or in communities. So the social media platforms just sort of reflect this tendency people have. But the challenge really is because you are an advertiser as well, right? You pay for advertising, but are they stepping up as a public service sort of thing? Is there a combination that you negotiate things, or they are doing this purely on a commercial basis? As you are one client, because the client can ask, you know, to customize certain things in the software, even or the algorithms, right? So how does that relationship work?
So we don't pay for any advertising at all. We negotiate free public service announcement space, whether it's on television, whether it's on digital, whether it's on social media platforms. Google have just given us $5 million worth of free ads. That's approximately 4 weeks worth of adverts on Google that we will put out. So they've given us 4 weeks worth of free advertising. They've said that they're negotiating the next tranche of money, so hopefully we'll get another 5 million after that. Facebook have given, for the first time, unlimited adverts to WHO, which means that we will be burning through about $1 million placed ads per week
So
to
with
reach.
in-kind gifts they are
Yeah,
doing. It's
absolutely.
charitable.
WHO could not do what we're doing now on communications without pro bono gifts from companies, digital and other. We have agencies who are helping us create content, tailor content. The one thing that's really been very heartwarming from a solidarity front is seeing the tech industry come together. People who were traditionally competitors talking together to say, how can we make this better? How can we make the translation process better for WHO? So on one side, I have Facebook translating content. On the other side, I have Google translating content. Coordinating the whole, believe it or not, it's crazy, is Tinder. Tinder are also translating content for WHO.
Yes, the dating apps as well, right, are important factors of misinformation and good information.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's a huge reach, you know, they have a huge reach on their platforms, and they have, you know, 24 languages, and they said, well, we'll do these 24. So now I have this small group of companies working together to help, saying, well, if we're translating into, you know, Turkish and Arabic, don't you guys do it? We'll do that. Why don't you take, you know, Farsi and Bengali? So now, and then they're all sharing it. So this is really great and heartwarming for us. We see this collaboration, which I don't think has ever been seen before. It's a fantastic opportunity to change the way we do business for good. I really, really believe that.
And what else do you need in terms of funding? Do you have enough for what you are hoping to do in terms of growing the teams? Because you need to have in-house teams as well to monitor and to measure all this, right? Because it is brilliant that they all came together, but there should be some sort of now preparatory work, right? Preparedness as
Yeah. So,
emergency preparedness as there are for the sanitary aspect and delivery of services on the ground. When there is a pandemic, there should be some sort of team in place, right, for you guys.
there should be, and I think we can always say that we'll always, if you're in my business, your job is never done. There's never the end of the project. There's always another niche market you can get into, another language you can launch into, another platform you can engage with. What I would like to say is that everything we're doing now for COVID-19, we're preparing for the future of after COVID-19. So if I'm doing something now, if you go to google.com and you do a search for COVID-19, you get all this content. We're calling it knowledge panels. All of that in the future, we want to do with at least 600 health topics, whether it's cancer, diabetes, physical activity, nutrition, all the health topics you could imagine. Let's give them the basic information up front, straight on Google. This is one thing we're doing. So coronavirus is setting the new future up. Everything we're doing is planned for the future. If we're messaging to Uber, to their 100 million users and 100 million partners of people who are drivers, delivery men, restaurants, we're working with them to deliver health messages tailored to them. After COVID-19, we will then start talking to them about food, nutrition, physical activity. So these 100 million people who believe
Absolutely.
and follow Uber will start getting positive health messages, you know, and I think it's revolutionary, but we never have enough resources. We certainly don't have now, and I can't imagine. Health is so important, we just will never have enough resources, but we could certainly do with tripling the team and being in a much better place, that's for sure.
Good. And I thought this was a good aspect of, so a good outcome from this crisis is the fact that now you have strengthened these ties, this relationship with Silicon Valley and hopefully other technology companies in other places too, that you can now continue to do work in other areas of healthcare, as you just mentioned. So that
absolutely. And I've talked a lot about Silicon
Valley. Outcome of this horrible situation we find ourselves.
I've talked a lot about Silicon Valley, but actually we also planned trips to India and China. Unfortunately, because of the lockdown, we were unable to go, but to engage with their tech companies as well. So what we've done is we have done that online.
I don't know, there's a number of, I'm not up to speed, but there's a number of social media networks that are huge, right? Billion.
Exactly, yeah. And even in countries like Japan, there's a social media platform called Line, L-I-N-E, and they are talking, you know, that's basically WhatsApp in Japan. So we're engaging with them now to say, how do we reach these people? Because they're not on WhatsApp. So, you know, we're not just saying, but because we have WhatsApp here, that's what everyone is going to see. We have to really think strategically, what is the biggest penetration in that language or in that country? And then hit them at the same time with health messages which are relevant to them. Because if they're going into lockdown, and we're talking about coming out of lockdown, it's irrelevant because each country is going at a different speed and a different pace. At the same time, we should be reinforcing messages to countries like Spain and Italy who are coming out of lockdown about social distancing, about washing your hands, because you can't come out of lockdown without doing that. So depending on the time of the outbreak is also the time you have to share the health messages. That's really interesting.
The messages change according to the state of the country, what phase from moving away from the lockdown they are. So you have your hands full, unfortunately, but it's for a good cause, and we are so glad that you guys are there.
Yes.
And this is all working out.
Well, thank you.
Once again, thank you
Likewise.
so much, Andy Patson.
Thank you for your interest. I really appreciate it, Maya.
Yes, no, I love social media. I have been always a proponent. And then when there were the scandals and the horrible things we found out, I was like, oh no, but I don't want them to go away. Can they just be better, more responsible corporate citizens? That's what we want. We don't want to do away with them. We just want to, and this was the perfect opportunity for them to show their bravery, their courage, and their corporate responsibility citizenship.
Yeah. And we've seen some really big examples which you couldn't have dreamed of 4 months ago. There was a tweet by the president of Brazil that was deleted. There's a big conspiracy theorist in the UK called David Icke. His channel on YouTube was removed yesterday because we've worked with the policy teams to say that this content is very damaging for people's health. So we have to stop it. And they're now stepping up to say it's their job to figure out the difference between free speech and opinions being more important than health, and opinions being more important than science. And it's a very fine line. And we care deeply about free speech and opinions, but it cannot be more important than science, It's very important.
Yes, indeed. Thank you very much. And
you're welcome. Thank you so much. And we'll talk again soon, no doubt.
Talk to you soon again. Thank you.
Bye-bye.